Namaste everyone, welcome back to my channel Awaken with Pradnya. And today I am going to share a little story with you. So many days I have been making a lot of videos on different concepts and how to validate this connection and ascension. There are so many things being talked about in terms of understanding a spiritual journey. As I was talking to somebody last week, it just clicked my mind that maybe I can share little parts of my own story, my own memories. I think through that story, through those memories, there can be a lot of things which I can actually put forward. As my first memory, I have picked this particular incident where I came across this particular synchronicity, which you can categorize as event synchronicity. It was my first experience ever in my life to come across this kind of a synchronicity. There are a lot of new things, interesting things coming up. Please do subscribe to my channel. There is a lot. I don't want to reveal everything right now. Most of you know, but those who don't know, I have also started doing one-to-one sessions, mentoring sessions, tell your story sessions, Q&A sessions on a personal consultancy basis. So anybody who wants to consult with me, I have given the links in the description. If you all know, I met my twin flame when I was 14 years old. When we met for the first time, we actually ended up fighting on the street because he thought that there was somebody who was harassing him by calling again and again, and he thought that it was me. It was a general misunderstanding which actually got amplified into a big fight, and we all can see this trait in a twin flame connection, that a separation can happen for any stupid mundane reason, which is not even a reason for separation. And in my case, we actually separated even before we were formally introduced to each other. So we used to stay very close by in the same locality, just like 5 minutes of walking distance from each other's house. And we ended up with this particular fight. We literally stood on the street, yelled at each other. I was really annoyed with him because I had not done anything, and he was yelling at me because he thought that I was the culprit. And it really went over the board. And since that day, we literally started giving each other such a cold shoulder, and he started bullying me. Since that day, I was on his hate list. I was on his blacklist. And he would stand with his friend across the street, and whenever I'm passing by, he would pass nasty comments, make fun of me, make fun of my clothes, make fun of everything whatever was related to me. And I used to really get annoyed. And if you really look at my age, I was just 14, so you can understand that what sort of stuff, or what sort of feeling I must be going through when he was doing all these things. And he was just 2 years older to me. Where it actually starts getting interesting is that when we met and we started fighting with each other on the street, there was something about this guy, like some sort of aura or some sort of charismatic sense in his personality, which somewhere I was able to pick. And even though he was yelling at me and he was really angry upon me, there was something in me which was like I was literally getting swiped off by his presence. And I was, even though I was angrily talking to him, somewhere back of my mind, I was completely getting into this awe of his presence. And I didn't know how to react. There was something over there which I didn't realize at that time. And somewhere after a few months, I started realizing that I'm not really able to hate this guy. I'm maybe falling in love with him, even though he's hating me. And I could never really hate him from the core of my heart. And at the same time, he completely hated me from the core of his heart. And most of those years, we did not talk to each other for 5 years after that. And all those years, I have struggled inside me with my self worth, with him not talking to me. I would do everything, whatever I can do to make him realize that I am not someone who is actually thinking of, and I'm not that sort of a person or a character which he's thinking as I am. And so many things like fear, rejection, abandonment, depression, getting bullied. You ask me, and I have gone through that sort of a negative emotion in that age of 14 to 15 till next 5 years. And this was so intense, this energy, the negative energy which erupted after our encounter was so intense that I couldn't have even thought of walking up to him and say something to him. It was that intense, and it was negatively intense. But after 5 years, as I got matured, I decided to take an admission in a university for masters. I decided that I'm going to tell him whatever I feel through a letter if I get an admission in that university, because that university was somewhere completely away from my own hometown. And I went there. I wrote him a letter. He got that letter, and I did not receive a reply for next 2 years. I knew that he has got the letter. He had read that letter, but again for 2 years there was complete silence. And of course, I was not in the same city as he was in, but I used to visit my parents. I used to see him in my community along with his friends. He never acknowledged anything, and he never came and talked to me. He never said that he received my letter or anything of that sort. This whole story I'm telling you actually happened in 1997. So internet had just started. There was no internet at that time, at least on a mass level. Very few people were using it, and there was no term called twin flames. So obviously there was no way I could even get any clue about what this whole thing was all about, and why I was not able to hate this guy, why he was there so much on my mind for years, when he did not look at me, when he hated me, he dated somebody else. So many things were happening, but I was still having such an intense feeling for him, and there was such an intense gut feeling inside my heart that there is something to do with this guy, and there is this amazing connection between both of us, even when there is no sign from his side that he's feeling anything for me. In fact, he was hating me to his core. When I went to the university and I wrote him that letter, somewhere I had this expectation that, okay, someday, someday he will realize, and someday he will reply to my letter. But it didn't happen. I was not expecting him to come back to me and be in a relationship with me in a romantic sense, because I knew that he was dating somebody else. But I wanted him to acknowledge what I had expressed. And he had not done that either. And after 2 years, after I completed my course, I came back to my hometown. And one fine day, I went out with my mom and I was coming back. I still remember this day very clearly. I was coming back with my mom, and I was thinking while coming back that for so many years, I have been intensely loving this person. I have expressed my feelings to this person. And so many years I have spent believing, having faith, having patience that someday he will realize what I feel for him, and at least he will acknowledge it. And that day, I think I just reached some sort of a threshold. I just couldn't wait anymore. My patience was over. I was feeling saturated. I was feeling victimized. And I clearly remember that I said to myself, whatever said and done, the love, the power of, as we say that the greatest power is love in this universe. And today I realize that there is nothing as love, there is nothing as faith, there is no value to all these things. And I was so stupid that I was waiting for somebody just to acknowledge something like this. And from today onwards, I want to stop thinking about this person. I want to stop looking forward to this person and just forget everything. Somewhere down, deep down in my heart, I was feeling that it's going to be really, really tough for me. But somewhere my brain was telling me that I have to take this decision. Otherwise, I cannot remain in a sane scenario. I would go insane. I decided this, that okay, today is the last day I thought about this person, and from tomorrow I'm not going to think. I reached home and suddenly I remembered something and I wanted to hand over something to my friend. And my friend was staying just 5 minutes away, very much next to my twin flame's house. So I told my mom that let me just go quickly and come back. So I was going to my friend's house and I saw my twin flame standing at one corner with his friends, and they were talking. And I looked at him and I had this thought in my mind, look at this guy. Like, somebody told him so much from their heart and he's not even acknowledging anything. Like, what sort of a person is this? I was really angry, very, very pissed off. I didn't look at him. I went to my friend's place, talked to her, and I was coming back. Meanwhile, there was nobody there on the road. And suddenly he came out from nowhere and he stood in front of me. He was coming from his bike, Bullet, and he stopped me in the middle of the street and he said, "Hi, like I really wanted to talk to you." So, first of all, I was not able to believe that he's indeed come in front of me out of nowhere when I was literally thinking of saying goodbye to him. And he said that I don't want to fight with you and I want to be friends with you and let's talk sometime. I definitely want to talk to you. Just let me know when. This much he said and he went. And I just stood there, stand still, thinking that what just happened because my brain was just not able to comprehend anything. And you can understand this gravity of the situation that the person who did not talk to me a word for 7 years, the day I decided that I want to give up on this guy, I don't want to think about him, I don't want to pursue anything in this regard. This is the last day I'm thinking about him. And I accepted my loss or whatever, I just gave up. Basically, I gave up my faith. I gave up somewhere. I told God that I don't feel that you exist anymore. I don't feel the concepts like love, faith, patience are existing in this world. I was standing at that juncture. And literally within 20 minutes after this, I decided 100% to let go. Within 20 minutes, he came and he spoke to me. And I feel that this was the biggest synchronicity ever happening in my twin flame journey for the first time. Because last 7 years, yeah, there must have been some synchronicities here and there, which I don't even remember right now. But this was the first and the biggest synchronicity I have ever experienced. And that time I called it a miracle. I did not know this word, synchronicity. I literally felt it was a miracle. And when I walked back home, I was so happy. I was so happy for this fact, not because he came and he talked to me, but because I somewhere started realizing, or it was just that realization coming to my mind that there is indeed somebody out there as God or whoever that is, the divine or whatever you call it, is indeed listening to you. That was the first time I realized that you are not alone. There is indeed somebody listening to you, and somebody is literally there for you. And that somebody is answering your thoughts. That somebody is definitely taking care of you. This was the first experience in my twin flame journey, which made me realize that yes, there is definitely something divine in this connection. That was the first time I felt that divinity, that this is not normal. This is definitely not normal. Something which did not happen for last 7 years happened only when there have been so many times I have decided to let go that connection, but that 100% decision never happened every time used to go back to it and I used to say, no, 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 let me hold on. Let's see what happens. But this time it was 100%. I was completely 100% sure that I'm moving on. But the divine did not let me move on. And within 20 minutes, he showed up. And what I have learned from this incident is that there is a very thin line between letting go and holding on. The moment you are holding on in the fear of losing, nothing happens. But the moment you surrender and you let go what you're holding on, the things start shifting. And I have got such a great evidence for this with this synchronicity that it didn't even take him more than 20 minutes to show up in my life. So this is something really, really amazing. And that time I had not really realized the gravity of this synchronicity. But now when I look back, I can, and when I connect the dots, I can say that this was one of the most important milestone in my journey, where I started understanding the divinity of the connection. I started understanding the presence of the higher realms in this connection. Even when I was not awakened to this connection, without being awakened, I was already going on a certain spiritual path without even realizing that I was on a spiritual path. So with this whole particular experience, when I started moving on in my journey, I learned major things. One of them was this, that when you're holding on, there is a thin line between you're holding on and you're letting go. Another lesson I learned was there is definitely somebody watching you from the higher realms. You are not alone, and they are definitely seeing and noting down everything what you are going through, the minutest details of what is happening in your thoughts. And they are here to assist you. That is what I realized. Third thing I realized was your faith, your patience, and the love you have for anybody definitely holds a lot of power, lot of value, and it is not going unnoticed by the divine. I think this synchronicity and the kind of lessons I learned through this synchronicity were the major pillars for me to go ahead in my journey. It anchored me into this spiritual journey because somewhere I started understanding that I'm not alone. Love, faith, and patience, these are the three pillars of this journey. And I also learned the power of letting go. And I realized that when you let go, you're not losing anything. You're actually gaining a lot of power when you are letting go. So, this is one of the stories from the memory box. And I hope this has added some value or some addition in your knowledge. And I would definitely like to hear from you all that if at all you have come across any sort of event synchronicities in your life which you would call a miracle or anything, and what sort of learning you got from that event synchronicity. So this is all for today. This is a little different video than the normal videos I make, but I just wanted to give it a try and see how it goes. So this is all for today. Be a true spiritual seeker, stay positive, and know that you are here for a reason.